There was what Caitlin Clark did on her big day. She was surprised by the Fever organization after a workout with a birthday serenade and the like, but it was the video that they shared of her workout that blew up everywhere, and that's because Caitlin Clark was knocking down threes. 50 of 54, according to the team on the post.
Accomplished. You notice what Caitlin Clark accomplished on her birthday? She not only worked on her three-point shooting, but she also revised the regulations to allow for 50 out of 54 three-pointers, which isn't a typo and represents 93% accuracy from beyond the arc. This is when things get really fascinating, even though you might assume it's simply practice. We're going to analyze how this might be the best point guard season we've ever seen, and Clark isn't some on-hit wonder. She just finished her rookie season, averaging 19 points and 9 assists, and now she's ready to light up the WNBA.
Sure, look, either way, Caitlin Clark's going to be better than last year. Touch wood, barring injury, it's likely we see the greatest ever season for a point guard in WNBA history next season.
Let's go back to Caitlin Clark's rookie season in the WNBA, when expectations were extremely high, pressure was high, and things didn't exactly go as planned. This is where it gets really interesting. Remember how everyone was questioning her last season? You won't believe what happened next. Clark's shooting percentages fell short of our expectations for the college-aged sharpshooter.
One aspect of Clark's game that I wouldn't say was bad, but her percentage at three wasn't as high as it was the year prior at Iowa. Now, that a lot of that can be from going from one season to the next, obviously adjusting to the WNBA defenses.
You might be wondering if Clark's reputation as a sharpshooter is coming to an end, because this is the same player who was making threes at Iowa like layups. Fans who knew what Clark was capable of found it difficult to watch, as her rookie season was somewhat of a roller coaster in the first 10 games as she struggled to find her rhythm. Her assist-to-turnover ratio was almost 1-to-1, and her shooting percentages were inconsistent, occasionally falling below 30%.
We do forget that Caitlin Clark's numbers last season, she didn't have the greatest first 10 games. She wasn't bad in the first 10 games, but she had a near 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Her percentages were all over the place.
The thing about Caitlin Clark, though, is that she never backs down from challenge. Despite her rough start, she averaged 19 points and almost 9 assists per game, which is pretty impressive for a rookie, but Clark wasn't content because she knew she could do better. Fast forward to her most recent practice, and you'll want to pay attention to this. It's not a typo, folks. Clark made 50 out of 54 threes with an incredible 93% accuracy rate. Can you even fathom making 50 out of 54 threes? It's not just good, it's incredible.
It is silly how good of a shooter Caitlin Clark is. But to be fair, obviously, I think there are more players in the WNBA that can do this in a workout. I don't think this is, unique. Not that it's, 50-54 is crazy. That's 93% through 50, which is madness. That's a serious number. That is a serious number, and I'm not sure how long it would take any shooter in the WNBA to do that. But the fact that they're
You're undoubtedly wondering how she was able to make such a significant improvement. Let us dissect it. Clark has been working really hard, so her development coach shared details about what's been happening behind the scenes. They've been concentrating on improving her shooting technique and altering her tempo. It's all about honing that already amazing skill. In addition to striving for excellence in her practice sessions, Clark's shooting coach is pushing for an average of 80% from beyond the arc, which is a significant improvement over her rookie season stats. It seems as though Clark took those setbacks personally and chose to use them as motivation for her own growth.
On her birthday, she steps in and she goes and shoots 93% from the three in a workout. Is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I was like,
you may be thinking, okay, Clark is killing it in practice, but can she bring that fire to the court when it really counts? Let's analyze why her incredible 93% practice accuracy isn't just impressive, but also a sign of something much bigger coming our way. First, we need to discuss what it takes to be an elite basketball shooter. Most pros would be blown away by hitting 80% of their shots in practice, but Clark simply blew past that like it was nothing. We're not just talking about a great day at the gym here. This is next level stuff.
One thing is that she's practicing a lot of corner threes. I can't remember the last time Caitlin Clark shot a corner three. Honestly, I can't remember. And it was funny, if you saw the home workout she used to do, the basketball court she used to shoot on didn't have corners. So it's like, that's why she never shoots the corner three. Because in the summer, she doesn't practice the corner three. But,
what's actually happening when Clark drains those threes is that it's all about muscle memory, consistency, and attention, but this is where things start to get really fascinating. Clark is literally reprogramming her brain for basketball, not simply practicing. Every shot she makes is brilliant. It's like a small lesson for her mind and muscles, and when you do something repeatedly, your body begins to remember it.
And obviously, look, Caitlin Clark's one of the best shooters in the world of basketball. But, like, it's silly. Like, for regular people, this is, like, absolutely absurd.
Experts are stating that Clark's ability to shoot at such a high percentage in practice could possibly convert into better performance in games. Now, you may be asking if this actually helps in real games. That's the big question, isn't it? Building muscle memory that is so strong that your body knows exactly what to do even under duress is more important than simply shooting shots in an empty gym.
And now I'm just looking at Caitlin Clark shooting 93% on a higher amount of shots. That is ludicrous. Like, that is absolutely ludicrous. And just a random workout. Like, I can guarantee you she's probably had workouts better than that.
However, let's face it for a moment. As we all know, practice is one thing, and game day is quite another. Beast, is it possible for Clark to truly bring this insane accuracy to the court when it counts most? That's where it gets really exciting, because it's not just about how many shots she makes in practice, it's about how she makes them. Have you watched Clark shoot form? It's like watching him execute the same motion for every shot, which is crucial for building the muscle memory we discussed. And guess what? That's exactly what you need to stay composed and make those shots when the game is on the line.
And look, she's repeating that same motion every time. It looks exactly the same every time. There's no difference in any of these shots, right? You would look like you were seeing a replay. You're watching. And that's the most important thing with shooting. It's not about whether it goes in or not. It's about whether you are approaching it the same every time. You say let it fly, right? Like, you can miss 1,000 shots in a row. You got to shoot the next one when you're open. That's part of being a shooter.
What does all of this mean for Clark's future? Well, if she can maintain this level of practice and carry it over to game day, we may be looking at one of the most deadly shooters the WNBA has ever seen. Imagine trying to guard a player who can sink a three from almost anywhere on the court. It would be the worst nightmare for defenders. Okay, so you may be thinking, well, Clark has a killer shot, but what about the rest of her game? Well, let me ask you this. What if her shooting isn't even the scariest aspect of her skill set? There's a reason why coaches are referring to her as a complete floor general, and it's going to rock the WNBA.
Workout from Caitlin Clark. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, she does a lot more than shoot threes, but yeah, she also does that pretty well.
Let's talk about what makes a truly great point guard in the league. It's not just about making baskets, right? It's about controlling the game, setting up your teammates, and improving everyone around you. And guess what? That's exactly what Clark has been doing during her rookie season. She wasn't just lighting up the scoreboard. She was dishing out assists like it was going out of style. We're talking about 19 points and 9 assists per game as a rookie. Can you even believe that most players take years to achieve those kinds of numbers, but Clark is doing it right away?
Well, it looks like her form is crisp and refined, and I think when you take into combination the fact that Clark is going to have fresh legs before next season because she hasn't had that extended period of time off from basketball. I mean, who knows when the last time she did? Obviously, she had none this past year in her rookie year in the WNBA. So the fresh legs will be a factor.
This is when things start to get interesting. Hold on to your hats because Clark isn't letting her laces. She's working on more than just her shot. Her coaches are discussing changing pace, tightening mechanics, and molding her into a complete player, which should have every other team in the league trembling. Now, you may be wondering if she's already this good, how much better can she get? In fact, some are saying that her rookie season is the worst version of her potential.
Just take a moment to process that.
The fact is that she's there. Like in college, it was, I'm going for 70% shooting from three. Like that's kind of the workouts. That's the number she's looking to hit. And she's probably up that to 80 is deep. I'd say 80% is probably her average 3-point shooting workout, which is crazy.
It wasn't all smooth sailing, but if this is Clark at her worst, can you possibly image what she'll be like at her best? Clark faced many difficulties during her rookie season, as evidenced by her nearly 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which indicates that she was still getting used to playing at the WNBA level. However, she chose to use these setbacks as motivation to improve even further. As you can see, Clark is not only improving as a shooter but also developing into a full-fledged floor general. She is concentrating on altering her pace to keep defenders guessing and tightening up her mechanics. She seems to be switching from a sports vehicle to a Formula One racer, so the other players in the league should be on guard.
Like the Caitlin Clark that's going to come in next year. Like you can see, just look at her right arm. Just look at her right arm compared to last year. Like she's obviously still skinny, but like there is literally Caitlin Clark. Obviously Amber Cox is there. Someone else is there giving her a birthday cake. But like how many? It's like our coaches in front office. There are 4 individual coaches there for just Caitlin. Just Caitlin Clark.
People are already contrasting her with other outstanding point guards from her early WNBA career. But here's the really bad part. Clark's first-year accomplishments, Clark's debut year was outstanding. But prepare yourself, because we're about to watch something absolutely extraordinary. She's not just keeping up with the greats. She's creating a whole new standard. The MVP battle is intensifying, and guess who's right in the middle of it? Our lady Caitlin Clark. But this is where things get very fascinating, because she has a genuine chance to win the trophy.
The Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark wins her first MVP. That's my prediction for next season, is that Caitlin Clark wins the MVP, because surely there's got to be some voter fatigue on A'ja Wilson. With A'ja Wilson, there's got to be some voter fatigue. But you just never know. There might not be. There might not be when it comes to A'ja because, well, she's A'ja Wilson.
Now, you may be asking how a rookie can compete with seasoned veterans like A'ja Wilson. Let me explain. To begin, there is a phenomenon known as voter fatigue, which is why you see AA. It's not just about being the new kid on the block. Clark has the numbers to support her claims that she could average about 22 points and 9 assists per game next season. Wilson has been dominating for a while, and occasionally voters start searching for fresh blood. And who's fresher than Clark?
Like, if you're asking my prediction, I would say she's going to have more assists than last year. I think she's going to have the 9 assists, but I would project 22 and 9.
It's not just good. That's MVP level good. But wait, it gets even more bizarre. Remember that crazy shooting drill we discussed? What if Clark could apply even a small portion of that to real games? According to the experts, if she can make 2 more threes per game, we could be looking at a 25-point average.
But like, if she can go and bring that 3 up to a 38%, especially with the distance she shoots them and the fact they're off the dribble, like, the better she's shooting from 3, the more frees up her layup. She's not going to shoot under 60%. She's probably not going to shoot under 60% from layups. Like, she could very easily push herself up to, and the team playing a little bit faster, she could push herself up to 25 and 9. Like, that's a not unrealistic number for Caitlin Clark next season. 25 and 9.
Now, you may be thinking, well, but someone must have done that before. But you're mistaken. We're talking about numbers that have never been seen in WNBA history, and Clark is aiming for basketball immortality in addition to MVP. The odds makers are taking notice, and her chances of winning MVP the following season are looking pretty good. They have her listed as a strong contender, which is essentially the betting world's way of saying, watch out for this one.
It's going to be scary for WNBA teams. I mean that. Like, it's actually, if Caitlin Clark can play like she is capable of and can make that
However, this is when things get really crazy. You may be thinking, we've seen great players before, but here's where it gets really interesting. But according to some experts, Clark's rookie season, when she was breaking records left and right, may be the worst version of her we'll ever see. Can you imagine if that's her floor? Where's her ceiling? Can you believe what Caitlin Clark is about to do to the WNBA? She's not just changing her game. She's about to turn the entire league on its head. Clark's influence is far-reaching. Her incredible shooting abilities are attracting people beyond the court like never before. Here is a player who has the potential to become a must-see on WNBA TV.
That's big, and that is a huge, huge positive for the Fever and everyone involved in women's basketball, because again, the better the face of the league plays, the more people watch in general, the better it is for everyone.
You may now wonder if she is truly so talented. Experts believe that Clark's ability to shoot at such a high percentage could revolutionize women's basketball. When was the last time you witnessed someone routinely make layups and drain threes? This isn't just about breaking records. It's also about raising the bar for what is possible in the sport. The Caitlin Clark era is just getting started, and it appears to be one for the record books. Don't blink, because you're witnessing a legend in the making. The question isn't whether Clark will make history, but rather how much. Prepare yourselves, because Caitlin Clark is spearheading the charge to elevate women's basketball to a whole new level.